Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar is going mega viral right now because she just made some disgusting comments in an interview and then was seen later running away from accountability because apparently she is allergic to it. Also, remember that Minnesota daycare that had millions of eyeballs overnight? They just closed. They got shut down. Yeah, unbelievable. And we'll also see RFK Jr. at the end of this video with a very powerful but simple message that everyone needs to hear. So let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Adam C. Moreno Show. Please like, subscribe, turn on the bell, and let's dive into all this together. So records are now showing that the Quality Learning Center that Nick Shirley investigated has officially closed its doors. It had requested a closure of its license according to the Minnesota Department of Human Services and the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. Of course, now that the national spotlight is on Minnesota, some funding has been paused. So people naturally speculate that that is the primary reason for the closure. Interestingly, the owner is actually seen at the daycare saying that he can no longer pay the gas bill because there is no more money coming in. It is crazy. It's going to be in like the first few seconds of this video, but check this out.
Can't pay for the gas bill. We have nothing coming in. We won't feed them. We'll keep them. Just because.
There you have it. I'm going to play it one more time, but he does say that he can't pay for the gas bill because there is nothing coming in.
Can't pay for the gas bill. We have nothing coming in. We won't feed them. We'll keep them. Just because of what's going on. And even my mom was.
Another very suspicious thing that is that the owner welcomed in a YouTube crew to give them a tour, apparently. But there's a couple red flags. Look at this video.
Even my mom is coming right now.
All right. So a couple things that people are noticing right here, you could see it there, is that the paint is incredibly fresh. It looks so like milky, glossy. It is ridiculous. Anybody who's been in a fully functioning daycare and that's been operating for years, you would know that there would be evidence of, scuff marks of children's writing on the walls because kids are kids. They're rowdy. They don't know how to act. They would take one of these toys and just throw it against the wall, of course. Another person also suggested that this is a set because the walls don't go up to the ceiling. Yeah, look at that. One person says, wait, this is literally a set. It pans up at the end and the walls just don't go up. Yeah, who the heck knows what the layout actually looks like? The full video hasn't come out yet. It's by another YouTuber named Lofi, right? I haven't consumed their content, but apparently it was invited and we saw the tour. But they closed, so it looks like none of this even matters. Look at this. Nick Shirley says, place is officially shut down. Diddy lookalike tried to save face, but ultimately failed. Yep, and you can see that right here. Quality Learning Center, license holder, entity identification number, closed as of January 6th, 2026. Type of service, child care center. That is wild. But you know what? Nick Shirley is right. He does kind of look like Diddy, and here's he again, just trying to hate on the work that Nick Shirley did.
A lot of the journalism that's been going on the last couple of days has been really dishonest. I don't want to point fingers at anybody, but I do feel like what was done was someone came to our building outside of operating hours. When there's a specific sign on our door that says our days and our hours, he came outside of those hours and then claimed, hey, they're closed and they're still making money. They're using taxpayer money to work. And it's like,
yes, because that is precisely what he uncovered. Like, I just don't think there's any saving face here. It is ridiculous. Nonetheless, this is a win for the people of Minnesota and the American people. Anyone uncovering fraud and waste, that's just a win for everyone. That money could be saved and put towards other programs that aren't fraudulent, or that's just money that could be saved by the taxpayer. Who the heck doesn't want to pay less in taxes? Literally no one. We also saw Ilhan Omar telling ICE to get the heck out of our city after the shooting that occurred in Minneapolis. yesterday. Take a look at this moment.
And so it is not helpful for us to have ICE agents unlawfully just carrying out these ridiculous raids that are not resulting in any sort of arrests, that have no explanation of why they are there. They are disturbing peaceful communities that are just trying to live out their lives. And I join our mayor and our senator in asking them to get the heck out of our city.
Of course, it is absolutely sad when someone loses their life in a law enforcement situation. No one ever wants to see that. But the narrative that's being spun by members of Congress like Ilhan Omar and the mayor of Minneapolis and other senators is just to purely attacking these ICE agents, making their jobs more dangerous, much harder than they already are, which is exactly why JD Vance came out swinging with this message this morning.
When I was actually walking out here, somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it. And that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally, because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile. What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the president of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The president stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack.
My goodness. Let me know if you agree with Vice President JD Vance's message this morning. A lot of people really loved it. A lot of people are highly critical of it, but JD Vance is nonetheless standing on the very business that President Trump ran on, the business that over 70 million Americans voted for, and the very business that put him in the vice presidency and President Trump back into the presidency. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Ilhan Omar is also seen dodging questions when asked if she condemns border agitators who have been known to attack ICE agents and prevent them from conducting their work, as the vice president just mentioned.
Good morning, Congresswoman. Will you condemn Minneapolis's pro-open border agitators' violent actions of attacking ICE agents and burning the American flag? It seems the open border agitators are being pretty violent towards law enforcement this morning. Would you like to comment, Congresswoman Omar?
Complete silence once again from Ilhan Omar as she's just seen running for her life. She is so loud on Twitter. You saw just how loud she was on CNN, but in person, look at this. She has nothing to say. Why? Because it's indefensible. Again, you can be both sides of this. You can be just sad that someone did lose their life in a law enforcement situation, and you can also be critical that, you know what, maybe these people should have also not been agitating at that moment. You don't, it doesn't have to be so black and white, but look at this silence here. She's so loud on CNN, but in person, nothing to say. If you were to ask me, that says a lot. Now, moving forward to something a bit more bright and funny, I also saw this hilarious post from JD Vance this morning. As you guys know, RFK Jr.'s HHS, they just flipped the food pyramid upside down. And JD Vance had this to say this morning. He wrote, "Hey, Secretary Kennedy, this new food pyramid is solid, but you forgot to include one dietary staple, and it is none other than cookies and cream ice cream." All right. So this in itself is pretty hilarious. All right. I like seeing this from JD Vance. But RFK Jr. from his Robert F. Kennedy Jr. account, he writes, "Caution, do not take dietary advice from this guy." And it is this one hilarious meme photo of JD Vance. You know, the left has totally used this photo to kind of attack JD Vance, make fun of him, but JD Vance totally owns it. Like, let's not forget that JD literally dressed like this on Halloween. Let me bring up that photo real quick. JD Vance, Halloween. All right, I'm not going to edit this, but yeah, look at this. This is hilarious. Like, come on. JD Vance, he knows what he's doing and he just plays the game so well. So I love that he's leaning into it, and I love seeing that from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But onto his more serious message. Kennedy gave this in front of HHS today. Simple truth, but much needed.
As Secretary of Health and Human Services, my message is clear: eat real food. If it doesn't come from the ground or the water or the air, don't eat it. If it comes wrapped in a package that is clear that the whole thing is a package, don't eat it. Nothing matters more for health outcomes, economic productivity, military readiness, and fiscal stability.
My goodness, did you hear that round of applause? I loved it. But what else do you need to know? Eat real food. Amen. So I wholeheartedly echo that message. And tonight, whenever you're choosing your dinner, think about that. Try to choose something a little bit more nourishing today. Make a better decision for your body. Make a better decision for your mind. Have some real food. Anyways, that is the video, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this in the comment section. From the infamous daycare shutting down to Ilhan Omar being seen just running for her life, dodging questions left and right, not being able to answer any questions at all, to Secretary Kennedy leaving people with a beautiful message, as well as JD Vance just going completely scorched earth in front of the media. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Tell me in the comments. And hey, if you made it this far, please like, subscribe, turn on the bell. And real quick, if you want to support the show, there's no better way of supporting this show by subscribing to the newsletter and possibly becoming a paid subscriber. It really does mean the world, and it helps, I think, shape the future. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day. Episode's over already? Geez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.